I think one of the things that we've been able to take for granted for quite some time is that presidents normally surround themselves with people who are at least qualified to do the roles that they've been selected for. These are people that can help the president push forward his agenda in a thoughtful and meaningful way. And we even saw this in Trump's first term. There were establishment Republicans around that could at least talk Trump off the ledge of some of his worst impulses. In fact, that's probably what kept him on the tracks through his entire first term. But in this second term, those people don't necessarily exist anymore, because the number one qualification to serve in this administration is loyalty to Donald Trump. So even though you can have somebody like Scott Bessent, somebody who is thoughtful, who is intelligent, who is probably otherwise qualified to be the Treasury Secretary, he will still go out on national TV and play a game of cover-up for Daddy Trump, even though he knows that these tariffs are going to be absolutely devastating for the American people. I mean, here he is saying things are actually going pretty smoothly right now. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Was this disruption always part of the plan, Mr. Secretary?
Look, Chris, markets are organic, animals, and you never know what the reaction's going to be. One thing that I can tell you as the Treasury Secretary, what I've been very impressed with is the market infrastructure, that we had record volume on Friday, and everything is working very smoothly, so the American people can be very take great comfort in that. And
on the one hand, he's right. Markets are organic. They do act in their own sort of way. But to think that we had absolutely no clue that these tariffs were going to devastate our markets is absolutely insane. I mean, people were predicting that we could lead to a recession. We knew that the markets were going to tumble. So to act like we had no clue at all, and in fact, the market infrastructure, it's doing pretty good right now. The platforms that people are trading on, they're holding up pretty good. So I think everything's going pretty smooth right now. I mean, these people are absolutely pathetic. They know better, but because they have to suck up to Daddy Trump every step of the way, I mean, we get interviews like this. I mean, Scott Bessent, he knows that these tariffs are going to be devastating for not only American companies, but for American consumers. And it's hurting relationships all around the world. And we should have had a reasonable expectation that it was going to make the markets fall. And in fact, we did, but he's trying to play a game like, well, we don't know. I mean, the markets are their own. I don't know, guys. I mean, so it's absolutely insane. Here he is talking about, Kristen Welker asks him, well, how long are the American people going to have to endure this?
But this was the biggest two-day crash since the pandemic. The president on Saturday urging people, quote, to hang tough, saying it won't be easy. And I guess the big question on people's minds, Mr. Secretary, how difficult is it going to be? And how long are Americans going to have to hang tough?
Well, I reject that assumption. There doesn't have to be a recession. Who knows how the market is going to react in a day, in a week. What we are looking at is building the long-term economic fundamentals for prosperity that I think the previous administration had put us on a course toward financial calamity.
I mean, they're still going to blame Biden every chance they can get. It was Biden that was putting us on the path towards financial calamity. I mean, what world does this guy live in? Even conservative outlets like the Wall Street Journal said the next president was going to inherit a remarkable economy. The Economist said that our economy was the envy of the world right now. I mean, we were outperforming all of our G7 counterparts. The American economy was strong when Donald Trump came into office. And to think that we had no clue that these tariffs were going to be catastrophic is just foolish. We had a pretty good idea that the markets didn't like this. That's why Donald Trump put them on again, put them off again, put them on again, pause. Oh, we're going to do them again. And then he worked up this crazy formula based on these trade deficits divided by our imports, slashed in half to come up with these astronomically high tariffs that nobody could really make sense of. And to think that those weren't going to have impacts like we're seeing today on our markets, I mean, It's just insane. Of course we knew that, and Scott Bessent knew that. I mean, there's even rumors that Scott Bessent might even be leaving the administration because these tariffs are so catastrophic, not only to the American people and the American economy, but they're going to be catastrophic for the Trump administration itself. I mean, these people are they're crazy people. This is what you get when you surround yourself with a bunch of people who have removed their backbone, and the only thing they care about is making sure they praise Donald Trump and make sure that nothing can be taken as a slight against Donald Trump. I mean, these people are pathetic. He's then asked about, well, are prices going to go up for Americans? I mean, we know that prices go up under tariffs.
Tariffs are a tax on consumers, and I'm not a fan of jacking up taxes on American consumers.
Do you acknowledge that President Trump's tariffs will cause prices to go up on a range of goods?
Well, Kristen, what I like is data. And if we look at data from President Trump's first term, and there's a big study that just came out from a group of economists, mostly at MIT, that showed that a 20% tariff on China led to a 0.7% tax or price level increase over 4 years. I think that's pretty good. If we can take in 20% in tariffs and it's a 0.7% increase. And Kristen, the little publicized story this week, everyone wants to look at the stock market going down. You know what else went down? Oil prices went down almost 15% in 2 days, which impacts working Americans much more than the stock market does. Interest rates hit their low for the year, so I'm expecting the mortgage applications to pick up.
The oil prices are going down because these companies are expecting a downturn in the economy, and therefore demand is going to drop. And mortgage rates are probably going down because the economy is slowing down. So they want to incentivize people to borrow more to stimulate the economy a little bit more. Scott Bessent knows this. And to pretend like, oh, this is just a 0.7% aggregate over 4 years in Donald Trump's first term, and that's really not bad at all. Scott Bessent knows that 0.7% is not going to be evenly distributed, that it's going to hurt middle class and low-income people the hardest. And he knows that what Donald Trump is doing now with these new tariffs look absolutely nothing like what he did in his first term. And even in his first term, the tariffs were so bad for the farmers that they had an issue a $28 or $29 billion bailout because they got hurt so badly. But Scott Bessent knows this. He should be straight up with the American people. He should be letting the American people know what's going on, why it's happening, what we might be able to expect. But that's not going to happen because Scott has to remain loyal to Donald Trump and make sure that he doesn't say anything that could set Donald Trump off. I mean, it is absolutely insane. So then he's pressed on, well, okay, but in Donald Trump's first term, prices did go up on this, and this. Oh, how do you respond to that?
Well, just to be very clear, though, I mean, during President Trump's first terms, the cost to Americans was nearly $80 billion in new taxes due to his tariffs. Prices did go up on everything from washing machines to tires.
Well, no. But let's go back. The aggregate number was 0.7, so we can discern the individual things. Also, households saw real net wages go up. So if wages go up faster than prices, which is not what happened over the past 4 years, that's why the bottom 50% got eviscerated.
He's just lying to you here. During the Biden administration, wages were rising higher than inflation. And in fact, it was people on the lower end of the earning ladder that actually saw the biggest bump in their wages. So he's just full of shit here. And then it's just a cop-out. Oh, well, it was a 0.7% aggregate price raise over all these products in Donald Trump's first term. What Donald Trump is doing now is not what he did in his first term. To try to equate these two things and try to say that things are going to work out the exact same as in Donald Trump's first term is just ludicrous. Scott Bessent knows better. He's a Yale grad. He's managed hedge funds. I mean, he knows better. It is it's just so irritating to watch each and every one of these guys just spin up a story because they don't want Daddy Trump to get his feelings hurt. So then he's asked, well, are these tariffs going to be permanent, or are they going to be used as some sort of negotiation?
One of the big questions and points of confusion, I think, is are these tariffs permanent or are they a negotiating tactic? Some administration officials have said they're permanent. President Trump himself has said he's open to negotiating. So let me just ask you, is President Trump willing to negotiate, or are these tariffs permanent?
Well, I think that's going to be a decision for President Trump, but I can tell you that as only he can do at this moment, he's created maximum leverage for himself, and more than 50 countries have approached the administration about lowering their non-tariff trade barriers, lowering their tariffs, stopping currency manipulation. And they've been bad actors for a long time, and it's not the kind of thing you can negotiate away in days or weeks.
So we've heard different stories from different members of the administration. Somebody will say, oh yeah, they're a negotiating tactic. Then other people will come out and say, oh no, these are going to be permanent. Expect them for a long time. But really, I think Scott Bessent is actually giving away the game here. Because did you listen to what he said? Donald Trump has set himself up with the maximum leverage for himself. I think Donald Trump is looking at these tariffs as a way that he can manipulate and bully as many people as possible. If he's putting astronomical tariffs in place, maybe countries will come groveling at his feet, maybe businesses will come groveling at his feet. And these aren't going to be negotiations for the American people. These are going to be negotiations for Donald Trump himself, because he is the most corrupt president that this country has ever seen. And I would not put it past him at all. Oh, well, maybe if you purchase some of my Trump coin, well, maybe we can go ahead and work out some sort of deal. I put none of that past Donald Trump. He is using these tariffs. He's inflicting economic warfare on the American people. He is hurting the American people, even though people like Scott Bessent probably told him that, hey, this is not a good idea. The CEOs told him it wasn't a good idea. Everybody was telling him that these are going to be absolutely catastrophic for the American economy, but he went through with them anyways. And now Scott Bessent is giving away the game here about setting himself up with the most leverage possible. I mean, what do you say to this level of corruption? And I'll show you this one last clip where he's asked whether or not he thinks this will actually cause a recession.
Let me ask you about one of the big questions. Recession, as you know, analysts say the chances of a recession are rising in the wake of the tariffs announced this week. Do you believe that President Trump's tariffs are risking the chances of a recession?
I don't. And I think we could see from the jobs number on Friday that was well above expectations that we are moving forward. So I see no reason that we have to price in a recession.
You're going to hear this a lot over the coming weeks. These Republicans are holding on tight to that jobs number because it came in a little bit above expectations. But what they failed to tell you is that jobs report was calculated before Donald Trump implemented these insane tariffs. So they have no correlation to what is actually going on today. So Scott Bessent is trying to use it as a distraction because he knows that JP Morgan right now is talking about 60% chance of a recession. There's other firms that put it a little bit higher, some a little bit lower, but there is good reason to believe that we could be heading towards a recession due to these tariffs. This was a self-inflicted wound that did not need to happen. But because Donald Trump has a delusional understanding of what a trade deficit is, he thinks it's us subsidizing other countries. Because he has absolutely no idea how tariffs work, he thinks that the other country pays the tariffs. And because he's delusional about how America has just been taken advantage of by all these different countries because of all of these fantasies, all of these delusions, all of this conspiracy brain nonsense. He's implemented these tariffs that are going to hurt the American people. It is quite possible that we experience a recession, and all of this, every single bit of it, can be laid at the feet of Donald Trump. There's no other culprit here. You can draw a straight line from these tariffs to the economic downturn. And let's not forget, Donald Trump was handed an economy that was an envy of the world. If he just sat back, if he just let the programs played out that Joe Biden put in place, that the bipartisan legislation that was passed under Joe Biden, if he just let all that play out, we probably would be up 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7%. But instead, the market has lost over $6 trillion in value. It is like the biggest two-day drop since, I think, COVID, which is just absolutely insane. So we're wiping out trillions upon trillions of dollars from our market. It's starting to affect global markets. And now countries all over the world are starting to exclude us from their trade relationships because Donald Trump is so damn erratic. And even though Donald Trump has these people who are smart, intelligent, who are probably otherwise qualified to do these jobs, it doesn't matter because loyalty to Donald Trump is the number one qualification to serve in this administration. That is a problem, folks. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We're trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that ferments all of the MAGA brain rot that is currently plaguing our society today. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. It is free. And if you guys want to see how Donald Trump could pretty much care less that the markets are going down and that the American people are getting hurt, do watch that video on the screen now. He was recently on his way back from a Saudi-backed golf tournament. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.